Hey everybody, this is Nevin Gusak, your host of the Populist Patriot. I'm having another live stream. And I came across some many weeks ago interesting article, and it was an interview with Jeff Nyquist with a business man by the name of Barrett Moore, who is the executive chief officer of Sovereign Deed. And it was a good interview overall. Barrett Moore had a really good idea of the threats facing the United States. Of course, Jeff Nyquist does. He's one of the best national security experts out there. And they had a good discussion on the threats that were facing the United States. However, the premise of Barrett Moore's company, known as Sovereign Deeds, based in the Chicago, Illinois area, is concerning to me from a nationalist perspective. So I did some reading, a little bit of digging, came up with some articles from the Northern Express. And there was an interesting article called "Is Survival Only for the Rich?" dated December 12th, 2007. And it centers in a small town in Michigan called Pellston, known as the icebox of the nation. And this company, Pellston, was courting a Chicago area company that promised badly needed jobs. And the premise or the purpose of Sovereign Deed, it planned to provide emergency supplies and services to wealthy clients who are caught in a major catastrophe, such as a pandemic, an earthquake, or a terrorist attack, or presumably World War III. Clients will pay $50,000 to join and $15,000 thereafter. It's a tiered service. Those who pay most have the greatest chances of survival. And this article goes through a variety of Moore's challenges as an entrepreneur and as a business person. And, we can kind of debate that over and over again. But what really concerned me, what really, 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 really concerned me was the fact that civil defense and protection and survival after a natural or man-made disaster, including World War III, is only a privilege for the rich. Now, Barrett Moore is providing a service. I don't fault him because he is providing a service for people willing to pay. But the overarching problem is this: civil defense should not be a private affair. It really should not be handled by private enterprise. Civil defense, in a radical civic nationalist perspective, civil defense should be equal for everybody. Everybody should have the basic minimum of protection against a mass attack by Russia or China, or both powers, or some unforeseen power or coalition of powers in the future. The notion that civil defense is to be privatized, where the super wealthy are getting the best of the best, while many other average Americans are being left hung to dry, is insulting to us radical civic nationalists. It undermines the very notion of solid national principles of national solidarity. When we're in a time of war, the rich need to sacrifice just as much as the poor. In fact, I would argue many elements of the super wealthy are the ones, both as a class and as individuals, for the most part, with certain exceptions, I'm sure, that have promoted trade and high technology exports and political legitimacy for the very governments in Beijing and Moscow that constantly make plans to directly attack the continental United States. It is the super wealthy in many cases, like the Jeff Bezos, like the Elon Musks, like the Bill Gates, like the Koch brothers. Now it's just down to one politically active Koch brother, like many of the other CEOs of the American-based global multinational corporations and Wall Street firms. These are the ones that are the actual traitors to the heart. These are the individuals that are completely worthless to the nation. They are only an elite in the sense of their amassed political power and their wealth and privilege associated with their enterprises. But the policies that they push, since they control the government basically, has led to the decline in the United States through more open trade with our adversaries, to deregulation of the finance markets, busting of labor, etc., labor unions, etc., which has radicalized more and more our younger people towards the doctrines of the left. No, the super wealthy, I'm saying this off the cuff, is not worthy of protection. There are many individuals, average Joes and Janes, that are much more capable of leading this nation and influencing this nation in a much better direction. It is average people that I see will be the new elite in this nation if we are to survive, God forbid, a mass disaster of an attack, a catastrophe resulting from a mass attack against the United States of America. Now, of course, in a radical civic nationalist, obviously we have to be impartial and protect everybody. So I am kind of speaking from the heart. But when it comes down to the hard knocks of policy making, we have to protect everybody. It should not be a privilege of the wealthy. And yes, in fairness, Barrett Moore had said that as the company expanded, that these services will be expanded to people of more limited means. But the reality is this is an enterprise. This is a mission that really cannot be accomplished by private enterprise. I understand our federal government has really not taken civil defense seriously since at least the late 1950s. They did not take this seriously. The proposals in the Gaither report, which Jeff Nyquist has discussed in past essays of his, I think we need to take that much more seriously and implement aspects of the Gaither report. And that's going to require a mass reindustrialization of the United States. And that's not going to come from Tea Party, Reagan, globalist doctrines of free markets and free trade. That's going to come from a Hamiltonian system of economic nationalism and state-led capitalism, or free enterprise that is strongly guided by the federal state with a capital S and a capital F. So, and I think I think now this Dr. Redliner, or Redliner, let me get his first name. This is his, let's see. Okay, Dr. Erwin Redliner. He was a director of a Columbia University think tank on national disasters. And he talked to Moore at a Chicago conference about Moore's company's plan. And Dr. Redliner, he basically echoes the sentiments of radical civic nationalists and our opinions on this whole project of serving the rich first. And I understand they're the ones with most financial capital, which will allow the expansion of services theoretically to clients of lesser means. I get that, but this is something that the federal government needs to step in and do. In general, I am very concerned about creating a two-tiered response system. The dynamic of disparities between the affluent and the rest of us, particularly the poor, seems to have deteriorated in recent years and is certainly not my view of what this country stands for, Redliner said. I specifically addressed this issue of disparities with Moore, and he made the case that if wealthy people want special services in a disaster, they should be able to do that. Moore told Dr. Redlener that if they can return some of the profit to specifically assist low income communities in disaster readiness, there could be some larger good coming out of this. And Dr. Redlener, who authored the book Americans at Risk: Why We Are Not Prepared for Mega Disasters and What We Could Do Now, he said that the point of the book, his book, is that we are sadly not prepared for mega disasters, and it's very distressing. Progress is very slow. Money is being spent that's not transparent or accountable, especially federal dollars. The whole thing is a large failure of the government to move quickly on a subject of pressing importance to the public. We've had billions of dollars of random acts of preparedness. We're just now trying to get an accounting of what we've spent, and it's an absolute nightmare. It's been irresponsible, non-transparent, wasteful, and it hasn't made the government safer. And billions of dollars have been spent on this. But this whole thing with sovereign deed, meaning the wealthy getting extra protection, is very uncomfortable. It's a vision that we're going to have the top 1/10 of 1% saved in a major calamity. In the face of a major calamity, everyone else is screwed. It doesn't sound American. Well, I agree with that. It doesn't sound American. It's anti-American. It basically corrodes the idea of national solidarity. And when we're in the midst of a disaster like a Red Dawn scenario launched by Russia and China, we need national solidarity. We can't be like the fucking Titanic, where the rich people, the rich clients, are getting, the lifeboats first, and then everyone else is basically screwed to sink. That's the Tea Party, Reagan, Ayn Rand, social Darwinist, globalist, selfish way of doing things. That's not nationalism. Nationalism is based on the predicated, American nationalism is predicated on the principles of national solidarity that unites all races, cultures, and classes in a framework that we're all in one lifeboat together. We sink or swim as a nation united. And what Barrett Moore represents, or the idea of his company, the implications of it, is unpatriotic, it's anti-nationalist, and it's unacceptable. And one of the things a radical civic nationalist government would do, because it is a nationalist government, it puts nation first. What we would do is launch a program of national civil defense. In the case of natural disasters, as well as also man-made disasters, whether a mass terrorist attack or a Red Dawn scenario led by Russia and China. And that's what we would do. Simple as that. Thank you all for joining me for this live stream. We're going to have some more coming up tonight.